What I'm doing is I just took that 1/2-inch foam from the 4-inch strips that we had left over, so we don't want anything to go to waste.
You're just like cutting it into pieces.
That's exactly it. But see what happens is when you take the brick and you lay it up.
You're making bricks.
Exactly, because what they did is they did cement, brick and mortar, and then they stuccoed over it. And that's what we're doing. So this is a sea sponge, and just kind of lightly dip it in your paint and kind of just give it a little finish. And then what I usually do is I take a rag, and what we do is kind of blot it. And what it does is it kind of takes away from the sponge look and feel. And that gives us our texture on our building. Joni, for this size set, I'm going to take 2 sheets of rock, but we don't need them. See, what we have is we have 2-inch foam here. We don't need them that thick, so on the smaller rocks, I'm going to cut them in half. We're going to go around the edge, so it's not perfect.
You make it look so easy.
And it is easy. That's the whole purpose of this, is making it easy for everybody to design and create. On the front of our little kitchen shelf here, you're just going to take the rocks that they cut with the hot knife and just take a small any nail. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks here. One is to add a little bit more texture. We can use the heat gun, which is perfect. And the other one that I'm going to show you is acetone. Yes, acetone. Women use it to take their nail polish off. And what this stuff does, you want to use some latex gloves. Make sure you use some eyewear. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this acetone, brush it on the foam, and it melts it just enough to give it that sand texture and that rock texture, what we're looking for. So this is the fun part. You know, guys, we had the volunteers, and I had them start laying up some of the rock work here, but you can see they have them on an angle. Now, if we were doing this kind of wacky and fun looking, I would absolutely suggest we do it wacky and fun, but we're going for more realistic look and feel. So make sure that you lay your rocks, because, you know, back then they had to lay their rocks pretty much straight. Where we put our 2 walls together, some of our foam is showing through and the acetone doesn't affect it. What you want to do, you can see this cool looking blade that we have there. You take that and go in there and just cut it right out. By the time you get the paint on there, you'll never ever see that seam. Now we're going to start painting our building. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a dark color first, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add all our highlights on our rock, and that's what's going to give it the pop. Because I noticed it's taking the volunteers a little bit longer to get the paint in the crevices and stuff. So what I did is I came up with a mixture. It's like 8-to-1. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pour this into our squirt bottle, and it's almost like a mini airbrush gun.
What are you going to do with all these boxes?
Well, you know, Joni, over there in Italy, there was these big stones all over the place. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want to cut them out of foam. Why not cardboard boxes?
Great. People can donate them, and it's no cost to the church.
That's absolutely right. But you don't want to get the same size box. Get all different sizes, because they'll give you different size stones. So we're going to get the volunteers to start taping and start painting.
Easy.
So you can see what we did. They taped the box out, did a great job. But what you want to do is you want to crush in your corners. Take a hammer. Don't use this side of it because you'll punch a hole right through it. Just use the side of it and just kind of lightly tap it.
Oh, that's fun. That's easy.
And that'll loosen it up a little bit for you. And then go ahead and just push it in and you're done.
After you smash the stone corners, some of the tape may have come loose, so make sure to re-tape them before you paint the stones.
Now, I picked out all the colors that we're going to be using on this set.
Cool.
Now, on this one, what we're going to do is I've made a very light gray. Yep, and all you're going to do is get yourself a little tray, and you're going to just pour it in there. Make sure you put the lids on the paint back on, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen people spill and kick it over, and it makes a big mess. So always put your lids back on. And then another thing, what you want to do is go to your local hardware store and just pick up a couple of small foam rollers. And these things work really great. And just slap it on in there.
The colors we used for the stones can be found at vbsdecoratingplaces.com. Now that our first coat on the stones is dry, we're going to add texture to them. To do this, apply some of the other stone colors with a sponge or brush in random directions and patterns. Then use black, white, and a paintbrush to create chips and divots in the stone. There is no pattern for these. Just have fun and be creative.